Hey guys, it is Doug with Ctrl-Alt-Success, and I'm bringing you a nice little strategy or technique when it comes to creating a follow-up sequence. Now, if you're working on a 3-day sequence, 5-day, 7, 10-day sequence, it doesn't matter. The biggest problem you're going to find is staying consistent with your message, staying focused with making sure all of these are written. And I can tell you, you can quite literally set up a 7-day follow-up sequence, a 10-day follow-up sequence in just an hour or two if you just focus on it. So what I wanted to talk about is what I utilize and what I do to stay organized and to make sure that I'm consistently being consistent with my actual follow-up sequence. Because if you're not, follow-up sequence is completely pointless if there's no consistency. And what I mean by that is if you're teaching internet marketing and you're trying to get a message across, if each email is completely random, people are going to be able to read that and see that and feel that. But if each message can segue into each other, so maybe one message you talk a little bit about a squeeze page, and the next message you're going to talk a little bit about a sales page, okay? You want to stay consistent. So what I do is this. On a blank desktop, this is how you can quite literally set up a 5-day to a 7-day sequence in about an hour if you just focus. What I do is I go a blank desktop, I just create a notepad, okay? And I'm going to blitz through this, but I'm just going to create 5 of these. Okay, I just copied this one right here. Then what I do is I highlight these 5 emails, or these 5 text files. Okay, so here they all are. And what I did is I've actually shrunk them down. Okay, usually they're a little bit larger, but I shrunk them down. And you can do this on a Mac too, but I shrunk them down to make sure they're roughly about like this. If you see, notice that. So I'm going to move these here, and what I do is I just move them over. I move this one over here, move this one here, and you can kind of get an idea what I'm trying to do. And what I'm doing is I have these all laid out like this. These are all my emails. This makes it so easy to create a follow-up sequence because you're paying attention to what you're talking about. So let's say here I go, email 1. I am talking about email 1. Okay? And then now I'm done with that, right? So then I go to email 2 and I go, this is email 2. And I may touch a little bit about what I talked. Wow, I can't type. A little bit about what I talked about in email 1. Then I'm done with that one. Then I go, in email 3, I want to discuss XYZ, and then maybe reference email 2. And then I go into this one, and it's blah, 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 and then I go to this one, and etc., etc., etc. So you can kind of see. Now, obviously, this is not an email that you want to send out, but if you make it 300 words, that's not really long, that's just a couple paragraphs. You get that going. You can even make them longer, of course, but the more you email, the more consistent, or the more you write, the more consistent and easier it is to create a long one. But you could easily see this right here. Let's say you made each of these 300 to 400 words. Guess what? That's only like 2,000 words, and that might seem like a lot of words, but that's like a total of 8 to 10 paragraphs. That's it. That's not long at all. You can create 2 paragraphs in about 5 minutes if you really know what you want to talk about. So this is just a quick little technique and a strategy that I utilize. It's incredibly helpful, and if you do it, you'll find yourself being able to stay focused on a follow-up sequence a lot more. So I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, contact me personally, Ctrl-Alt-Success@gmail.com. That's CTRLALT@gmail.com. I'll talk to you guys later.